Many a days, and I have not heard anything. And I've checked like multiple times a day, and they told me that the test results would take 2 to 12 days. And I'm like, dude, it's been plenty enough time. I should know.
Technically, if it's business days, 12 days on Thursday.
If it's business days, then it's different. But they didn't say business
Yeah.
days. They just said 2 to 12.
Oh, well, who knows? Hopefully you go back this week.
But yeah, it's been a long time, and I'm just like, I kind of want to know. I don't think I do. I just got tested to be safe, especially since Eric works with the public.
Yeah.
He goes back to work tomorrow because it's been 2 weeks for him. So
Good.
But we didn't have any crazy symptoms. The coughing and stuff, I think, was a symptom of sinus problems because of post-nasal drip and stuff. I know you sound a lot better.
I feel a little bit better. So I went to the doctor on Tuesday, and she comes in full hazmat suit. I'm talking gown, face shield, face mask, goggles, covering on her shoes, gloves, the whole 9 yards. And she comes in and she looks at me and she's like, "Wow, you don't look good." And I was like, "Thanks."
Wow, that's rude. She said that to you?
Yeah.
Is it because she knows what you look like normally?
Yeah. No,
Okay.
I've been going to the same doctor.
Okay.
I had my pediatrician when I was a kid, and then I had this doctor, and that's it.
Okay, that makes more sense. I'm like, how does she know?
I've
Because
known
my
her.
doctor barely remembers me when I see her.
Yeah,
Like,
I've had this doctor like
for a long time.
Years and years and years and years. Yeah, and it's like a small like family doctor in the town that I grew up in, which is where my parents still live. And the nurse came in to like take my vitals and stuff like that. And I don't know her as well, but a little bit. She was the one who took care of me when I was sick right before my wedding, which sucked.
Gotta love having a cold right before your wedding, right?
Literally, and then I was on my period for my wedding. It was a whole.
Oh, I forgot about that.
It was a whole bad
Dude,
time.
I skipped my period for my wedding. I just kept taking my birth control. I was like, ain't happening today, bitch. I was like, nah. Because I would have had my period. I would have gotten my period, I think, day 2 or 3 of my honeymoon, and I was like, that doesn't sound like fun. So
no, yeah, it wasn't. So it was the same girl who took care of me when I went in, like right before my wedding. So she kind of like knew who I was, and she walked in and she was like, "You look awful," like literally verbatim.
Thanks, lady.
She like took a second, and then she took a breath, and she was like, "You look awful," and I was like, "Thanks, girl." Like, I don't want to say her name because I don't want to call her out, but like I was like, "Thanks, friend." And so she took my vital signs, and then she walked out, and then the doctor walks in and the full hazmat, like I said. And she looks at me and she goes, "You look terrible." And I was like, "Wow,
thank you.
What is this, shit on Angel Day?" Like,
you're like, thank you, I appreciate the
so I actually I went to the doctor on Tuesday. I got my COVID test on Tuesday. My result came back negative.
But you still felt like shit.
Yeah, I don't think my doctor thought that it was a true negative. I think she thought it was a false negative because she was like, "You have to stay home for 2 more weeks." And she gave me all this medicine. She put me on a nebulizer. And then she said, "If your symptoms even slightly get worse, you need to go to the ER immediately. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Do not wait. Go to the ER."
And you're like, okay.
So I felt better the day before yesterday. And then yesterday, I just relapsed a little bit. I couldn't breathe again. I was just feeling terrible. And so I don't feel super great now. I still feel like my chest is heavy and like rattling a little bit when I breathe.
Do you think you have it?
I think it's possible. Yeah. Because I had a fever and I had a cough. The only thing that I didn't have was like a lack of, like, I didn't lose my sense of taste.
Which not everyone, I guess, has.
That is a symptom. I don't know if that's the be all end all, but I did not lose my sense of taste. But if I did not have it, I have a very bad cold because here I am almost
Coughing. I would
yeah,
say.
I'm a week and a half because like I started feeling bad not this last Thursday, but the Thursday before. So I'm like a week and a half later, and I still feel like I've been hit by a truck. So
That's ass. You're like,
yeah,
I'm just trying to feel better.
yeah, and
So,
of course I
do
had
you
to
know
tell
when
my.
you are going back to work?
Let me take a look at the calendar. I go back to work on August 4th.
Okay.
Yeah, whether or not I feel like going back to work, that's when I go back to work.
I feel pretty much fine. I think I just had a cold or something.
Yeah, yeah. I'm
But
glad
it
you're
was
feeling
better. It was better for me to stay home than to risk exposing people that they don't have to be exposed. You know,
yeah. No, I get it.
no point in exposing people. But also, I'm not really hanging out with anybody, so
That's true.
so far feeling pretty okay.
So tell me about your highs and lows.
Okay, so I'm trying to think of what my low would be. Probably just feeling like shit. I didn't feel great up until a couple days ago, so most of last week I still wasn't feeling that great. So that's probably my low. But my high, I got to see one of my best friends very distantly, and it was very safe. I promise. But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, it was still nice to be able to see her and catch up with her. Sitting outside far apart with masks on is a little bit surreal, but it's better than the alternative. So,
And it's really hot too. With
oh my god, it was so fucking
with
hot.
masks
I
on,
got
like you gotta do
the
it.
weirdest tan of my life. I went to the pool yesterday to try and correct this tan, and it is still there. I had a tank top that has like cross straps in the back,
Yeah, I
and
think you mentioned that last week.
yeah, I've tried to correct that tan yesterday. We went to the
Mm-hmm.
pool and just hung out, and didn't work. I still have. I mean, I'm tan, but also now the straps lines are tan too.
Well,
So I took this really nice picture of Eric and well, someone took this nice picture on the Polaroid camera. I'm gonna
mm-hmm.
send it to you because it's really cute.
Okay.
Of Eric
Yes.
and I, and we kept making fun of each other because we said that we look like a mom and a dad. That's like, oh kids, we're having a great time on the dock today. Like, sent you this picture. Much love. Bye. Like, okay, I sent it to you.
Okay.
Oh, it's taking forever. Are you kidding me? That's what I get for sending it through text message instead of Snapchat.
Whoop. My phone's at 1%. How did that happen?
Oh my god.
Merlin has joined us again. What are you doing?
Good.
Got a fur.
Oh,
He got a fur cut.
what were your highs and lows?
So basically, my low is still like
Feeling
I
like
feel.
shit.
Yeah, honestly, like I do feel better. I still feel a little bit like I've been hit by a truck. Okay.
Hopefully it passes soon, but I do hear an improvement in how you sound, so hopefully it keeps going up from here.
Hopefully, my highs are that even though I feel like I've been hit by a truck all day every day, I've gotten to sleep a lot, which is nice.
Yes, catching
Like
up
I
on sleep is
literally,
so good.
like I literally have taken one, sometimes two. Like one day I took 3 naps in a day.
I did the same thing. I kept taking little naps throughout the day because I would just be like, "Wow, I'm exhausted," and then I would just go to sleep.
And then also Merlin got groomed yesterday,
Yay!
which we don't really know what he is because he was found in a bush.
That old thing, the dog found in a bush.
Yeah, so I don't really know like
What he is.
yeah, we don't know what he is, but he definitely looks like a Shih Tzu when he's all groomed the way he is.
Yeah, but he also doesn't at the same time. There's
I
something.
know.
He's mixed with something for sure.
Yeah, the vet definitely thinks he's mixed with like some kind of schnauzer or some kind of terrier rather. We
Yeah,
think
I
he's
could
got
see
some
that.
golden retriever in him because of the
Oh,
way his
his
fur.
fur. Yeah.
Yeah, the texture and the color of it is very golden retriever esque. Yeah, that's what we were
It'd
thinking.
be
He's
fun to
got
do the doggy DNA thing with him.
yeah, but it's expensive.
I would say I'd rather do it for myself at that point because it's like $100 for a human or a dog, and I'm like, well, I
Yeah.
want to know what I am.
So yeah. So those are my highs and lows.
Well, I have a very interesting story for you.
Oh man, hit me with it.
Here, I'm going to send you an email first of the picture of the person we're going to be talking about. I just sent
Okay.
it to you.
Okay.
The story is of Mary Rogers.
Mary Rogers. Okay, I just got the email.
This is
Cigar
gonna be
Girl.
an oldie. Yes, she is going to be. This is a true crime story.
Okay, okay. I don't think I know anything about her, so this will
Good.
be a new story for me.
I know. I was trying to pick someone obscure.
Okay, well, I mean, the
There's
trouble with doing a podcast like this is because there's so many like us.
yeah, that it's like I want to pick things that neither one of us has heard about because if neither
Mhm.
one of us has heard about, there's a good chance that our listeners haven't either.
Yeah,
So
so
I
I mean,
wanted
we'll
to do
probably end
something.
up doing some pretty popular topics at some point, but for right now, I think we're
For
doing
now,
a
we're
pretty
trying
good
to
job.
do obscure.
Yeah, I think we're doing a pretty good job of picking topics nobody's heard of, or at
Yeah,
least few people have heard of.
we've definitely been trying. So
So
yeah,
this girl, I'm gonna just explain for our
what it
listeners
looks like, what she
what
looks
it
like.
looks like. Yeah, so she looks very serious. It looks like she's wearing some kind of bonnet on her head or hat
Hmm.
with a big like bow on the bottom. This picture looks like it's 1841 based on what the picture says. So if you can picture like 1800s big bow bonnet tied under, she looks like there's flowers or something coming up the side of her head. Is that what
Yeah,
that is?
it looks like that too. I'm not sure. Here's the thing: is I could not find if this was an actual picture of her or
Oh,
they say it is, but it's kind of hard to tell since this picture was taken so fucking long ago.
yeah. It's not letting me blow the picture up a little bit, so I'm trying to Google it to see if I can get like a bigger picture of it, so I
There's
can
a
take a
couple other
closer
pictures
look.
of her, but they're all pretty much the same.
Okay.
But she looks very young.
Yeah, yeah. That's what the next thing I was gonna say is she looks pretty young. She looks very serious.
That's
In
just
this
how you had to
picture.
be when you took pictures, or because
Yeah,
if
I
you
guess that's
moved, try
fair.
holding a smile for an hour. God damn it!
Yeah.
See if
Yeah.
you're able to.
So, but
Uh,
she looks like she could talk some shit and take some names. So, all right. So, tell me about the beautiful cigar girl, Mary Williams. What? No, Mary Rogers.
There's a couple of different things that I've saw about her birth because her birth records didn't survive, so no one's exactly sure. I've seen two different places that she may have been born. Either she was born, both of them say she was born in 1820. So either she was born in Lyme, Connecticut, or she was born in New York. No one knows. No clue. That's just the beauty of covering old stories. There's no good records of
Does
any.
she have Does she have descendants? I'm sure they're descendants. No, did she
I'm
have
sure,
children?
but there's not any that have like come up in
Oh,
this.
okay.
So Mary was a young woman who grew up as an only child of her widowed mom. At the age of 20, she did live in a boarding house that was run by her mother, but the biggest thing that everyone talked about was that she was supposedly very beautiful. In this picture, it's kind of hard to tell because you said that she's super serious looking, but think about all the other people you've seen in this like span of time and they usually don't look like her, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
She
She
was
does have a very like picturesque
she
face.
looks like very yeah, she looks very soft. Like a
Yes.
very I don't know how to describe. Most people described her as very young beautiful woman, brunette. She either had like brunette or black hair, very very dark hair. They described her as her face being really symmetrical, and it is like based on the picture she looks very nice. Her features were very normal. She had a
And
very
I'll
beautiful
post this picture on Instagram
yeah,
too, or I'll
and
post it
she
so
had
that
like a
people know what.
beautiful complexion and she also had physical charm. She was a very pleasing person to be around. Everyone really liked her. So they did, I guess, move to New York City or she lived in New York. They're not, again, not sure whether she was born in Connecticut or New York. But unfortunately, her father died when she was 5 years of age, which is why she lived in that boarding house with her mom. And her mom was left in kind of hard circumstances, considering she had to raise a daughter by herself in like the 1820s.
Well,
So
fortunate if you can say fortunate. The silver lining, I guess, is that in that time, like being a single mom was looked down upon. But if your husband passes
died, yeah.
away, that's not your fault. You're not
You're not the weird
the
widow
red
or whatever
letter or the scarlet letter. Yeah.
or like
So
a spinster.
yeah,
You did it. You just also your husband died. It
yeah.
sucks.
So I mean, it's unfortunate that her father died, but at least she didn't have to grow up. At least
Like under like weird
yeah, under a weird stigma.
scrutiny.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So I
She's
mean, that's at least the way I would see it.
yeah, and she made a good living through the boarding and lodging house. They were okay. They didn't struggle. She kind of attracted attention wherever she went throughout the town because she was so beautiful compared to most people at this time. So there was this guy who took notice of her. His name is John Anderson. He had a cigar store on Broadway near Thomas Street, and he heard of this like super beautiful person, and he was like, well, I need to gain attraction to my cigar business. I need to bring people there. How do I do that? And he was like, hire a beautiful woman. That'll do it. So he hired her.
That'll do it.
Yeah. So he hired Mary in the early spring of 1840. Mary was about 20. He went to Mrs. Rogers, her mom, and said, hey, I really want her to work for me. Is there anything we can do to make that happen? Mrs. Rogers was very reluctant. She really didn't want to have Mary work. She never
Yeah,
worked
of
away
course.
from home. She felt really bad about it because apparently the cigar shop brought a lot of kind of grungy people to
Yeah,
it. So
like not the kind of people you want your daughter to be around.
exactly. So she was really worried that accepting the position would make her exposed to types of people that she wouldn't want her daughter exposed to. So with a lot of hesitance, she decided, okay, cool, you can work there. I understand why you want to.
The daughter wanted to, or
Oh
the
yeah,
cigar
she
shop?
totally wanted to work at the
Oh,
store.
okay, okay.
She just wanted to make sure that she got her mom's approval. Even though she was a grown woman, like it was still important that you had
Yeah,
your
at that
parents'
time you
approval.
had to have your parents' approval until you were married.
Exactly. So started working there. Everyone started flocking to the store because they loved her. They were like, "Oh, she's super beautiful. She's a great personality." They gained a lot of business because of her being there, and it worked out for everybody. She made good money. He made good money. It was cool.
Cool.
And she got to talk with the
What
townspeople.
was that in the
That
background?
was that was Wes.
Oh,
He
okay.
screamed. He went meow.
Yeah, really, it sounded like it.
He already ate. He's being a jerk.
Oh, okay. Well, that's how my
Or
cats are
maybe
too. So.
maybe listen. Let me look. No, he already ate. What? So after working for the store for about 10 months, on one morning in late January of 1841, Mary didn't show up to work. Anderson was not able to account for her being there, and Mrs. Rogers was super upset. She was like, where the fuck's my daughter?
Yeah,
Essentially.
really. Yeah.
It was reported to the police, or the equivalent of what police were in
Yeah.
1841.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was a lot of publicity about this because she was the famous cigar girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although she had a lot of traction because of this, like because she
Hmm.
disappeared. 6 days later, luckily, she returned back. She was
No,
totally fine. She
this is
appeared
not
to.
where I thought that was going.
Yeah, you thought this was the time that she was gonna die, right?
Yeah.
She came back. She was totally fine. She was in good health,
Did she
but
say what happened?
no, she never explained. She explained
She
was
just disappeared. She was like,
she
"Bye, I'm taking a
disappeared, and
vacation."
she explained that she was visiting relatives in the countryside,
Oh, so
and
she took a
her
vacation, but she did not ask
she
the
didn't
boss
tell
for it.
anybody. Yeah, she didn't tell anybody.
Boy, I hope she had some PTO saved up.
Yeah, and the thing is that like her the equivalent of 1841 PTO,
Yeah.
she told something similar to her mom and Anderson, and they recounted the same thing like to the authorities. Were like, yeah, I guess she did mention that, and then I don't know why they were so worried then if she had
I'm
brought it up.
sorry. I'm sorry, back up. Her mom, super protective, like she's not married, she's 21 years old, she's
Hmm.
very
And
beautiful.
she just disappears for 6 days.
And she disappears for 6 days, and her mom is like, "Oh yeah, she did mention she's going to visit." Like,
It's like, girl,
I'm
we were all worried about this girl.
I am 27 years old, and my mom, if I disappear for 6 days, would be like, "Where are you? What are you doing?" And
Which
she
is
would
how she was, but
definitely,
then when she came back, she was like chill about it. But
yeah, no, that doesn't make sense.
I
But all
guess
right, whatever.
it
It was
was
a different time.
so they were saying the same thing that Mary said. All of them were just like not discussing it. They were just like, okay, we took that. We're gonna tell the authorities the same thing, but they didn't. 2 fucking days before, they were like, oh my god, where did she go? But then she comes back and they're like, yeah, it's fine. Like they just didn't read into it at all.
That seems
So
weird, but okay.
it is weird. After a couple days after she returned, a rumor had started circulating around the town that she was seen in New York with a handsome naval officer who was supposed to
Oh,
be in the country. So these rumors eventually reached Mary, and for a week, she kind of passed her she basically resigned from her position. She didn't like that these rumors were spreading about her, so she decided to quit and
Okay.
just stay home and kind of lay
Okay.
low because people wouldn't shut the fuck up about her. Which,
Yeah, and
fair.
yeah, and in the 1800s, being seen with a man was scandalous.
Yeah, exactly. So she was like, I'm just gonna lay low back in my mom's house. So a month later, after she had been home and not working and out in the public, it was announced that she was engaged to be married to a Daniel Payne, who was
Okay.
a young man who resided in the mom's house because it's a boarding and lodging house. I guess they started talking and got engaged. I don't know. It's a different time, you know?
Okay.
It happens.
Yeah.
So at 10 a.m. on a Sunday morning of July 21st, 1841, Mary knocked on the door of her fiance and informed him that she intended to spend a day with her aunt, Mrs. Downing. Payne replied, Okay, I'll call for you tonight later. As the evening kind of approached, a thunderstorm unfortunately happened. And again, this is 1841. So her fiance spent the day away from home, but he believed that Mary wouldn't really desire to come home in a storm because, again, it's 1841. How do you come home in a thunderstorm? You don't have a car. You have nothing to protect you from a thunderstorm.
Yeah.
So
So they assumed that she just stayed with the aunt.
yeah, he didn't call her because he was just like, whatever. She's probably just staying with her aunt. So the and her mom too agreed, was like, oh, I'm really glad that you didn't call her to come home because it's a storm. I don't want her to go through the storm. The next day the storm passes and Mrs. Rogers waits for Mary to come home because it's now, and the next day it's no longer thunderstorming, and she never came home. Now Mrs. Rogers is freaking the fuck out because
Oh,
it's
we're
been a
getting
day.
to where I thought we were.
Yeah, it just took a little bit. It was a little. I had an M. Night Shyamalan twist in there for no
Yeah,
reason.
you did.
So, the fiance came home for dinner, and Mrs. Rogers told Mr. Payne, like, "Hey, Mary still isn't home." He didn't eat. He just got up and went straight to Mrs. Downing house, which is the aunt. He learned that Mary never went there, ever. She
Hmm.
was very confused. She was like, "What do you mean she never came here?" So now they're super worried because now they're thinking about the previous disappearance months ago. And they're like, huh, what happened that time too? They were like, okay, what do we do now? Not only that, but she also left in clothes wouldn't have been suitable for a storm. So it was like super light clothing, a light bonnet. She would have been cold.
Yeah.
Under the circumstances of the first disappearance, the second disappearance was even bigger for the town because she's already disappeared once. For several days, no one found any trace of her. Unfortunately, on a Wednesday morning, some fishermen who were setting their nets out in.
Did you say what day that she went supposedly to see
She
her
went
aunt?
missing on Sunday.
Okay, so 3 days later. Got it.
So, yeah, it's been a couple of days. On Wednesday
Okay.
morning, they were fishing off, like a bunch of fishermen were fishing off of Castle Point in Hoboken, New Jersey, and found her, unfortunately, mutilated body
Oh
floating near
no.
the shore near a saloon known as Sybil's Cave. Her once, beautiful, beautiful face was beaten, and
Oh my
around
god.
her waist was a cord, and the other end was attached to a stone. She had a piece of lace torn from her dress, and it was tied around her neck to strangle her.
Oh my god.
And both of her wrists had marks from cords. She had her bonnet like tied around her head and neck. Her clothing was torn. And then when they inspected her more thoroughly, they found out that she was actually raped.
Oh
So her
no.
body was in terrible condition.
Yeah, really.
Because she was engaged to Mr. Payne, he was immediately interrogated because who else would have done this?
Right,
So
as prime suspect.
yeah, it's always the husband, the fiance,
Yeah.
the boyfriend, the girlfriend,
Yeah.
the wife. They interrogate him and they follow him. They're like, hey, we're going to keep an eye on you. A week passes. They decide, like, he had nothing to do with it. The mystery just kept deepening, and the authorities had issued a proclamation announcing a large reward that would be paid for the arrest of whoever killed her.
Oh my god.
So it was also announced that in addition to the reward, they would also receive complete immunity and protection of whoever did the crime.
Oh, so, like, if the person who did it came forward, they would give them.
Except the person that killed him. So if it was
Oh,
like
okay.
if it was like a wife of the person, she, like, say a wife and a husband, and the husband committed the murder, the wife would gain immunity because she
Oh,
ratted
I
her husband out
understand.
or something. As long as you didn't kill her, you would have immunity. You wouldn't be charged as like an accomplice.
Oh, okay. So if you knew something
Yeah,
to come forward.
you wouldn't be in trouble.
Okay,
So
okay.
the next day, the coroner actually received an anonymous letter from someone in Hoboken who declared that the person had seen Mary in Hoboken on the Sunday that she was supposed to visit her aunt. But
Okay.
they did not come forward because of what the person wrote in the letter said they did not want to get in trouble. So they just didn't give any more information other than that. The writer also stated that while walking in the Elysian Fields, which is at that point was a famous summer resort,
Hmm.
on Sunday afternoons, he had seen a boat pull out of the New York side, containing 6 rough-looking men and a well-dressed girl, whom he recognized as Mary. She
Okay.
and her companions left on the boat and to the beach and went into the woods. The writer was surprised to see her in the company of like some weird looking people, like rough people, and she's a very delicate person.
Yeah.
But he noticed that she went with them willingly. She wasn't upset. She didn't look like she didn't want to be there. She was
She was
laughing. She was
not like in manic
smiling. Yeah,
distress.
she was having a
Okay.
great time. She looked like
Okay.
she knew what she was doing.
Okay.
So they had disappeared into the woods. So there was a second boat that had 3 handsome dressed gentlemen in it,
Okay.
and one of them came up shore, meeting the other 2 gentlemen who were waiting on the beach, and apparently one of them asked if they had seen a young woman and 6 men land from a boat a few minutes before. On being told that they had seen a woman that had gone in this direction, they had pointed it out, and he asked whether the men had any violence towards the girl. The person said no, she looked like she was fine, didn't look like anything was wrong, and without any further comments, he just got back in his boat and he headed out. The
Okay. That's weird.
author, yeah, the author of the letter was never discovered, but the letter was actually printed in newspapers. And the next day, the 2 gentlemen who had been walking on the beach came forward and said, yeah, that was true. This is what happened. They both knew Mary Rogers by sight, and they said the girl had entered the woods with the 6 guys, but they were not sufficiently near enough to be able to actually confirm
Like
if
who
it
they
was
were.
her and who those people
Oh,
were. They were like, "Oh,
okay.
I'm pretty sure it was Mary," but they were like, "We weren't close enough."
Oh, okay.
The next piece of evidence that came through was there was a stage driver named Adams who, after a couple weeks of her disappearance, he stated that on that Sunday he had seen Mary arrive in Hoboken at the Bulls Ferry. She had been seen accompanied by a tall, well dressed man of a dark complexion to go with him near the roadhouse near Elysian Fields, known as Nick Mullins, which was like a roadhouse.
Okay.
Mrs. Loss, who was the keeper of this place, remembered that a man had come to her place with a young woman on that Sunday, and they had gone into the woods after partaking in some beverages, and after the department, she heard a woman scream coming from the woods. But the place that they were at, there was a ton of people that did random shit and they were loud, and she honestly said that she had heard screams all the time, so
Yeah,
she
and she wouldn't
never,
think anything of
yeah,
it,
she
right?
never like
Okay.
thought anything different. She was just like, kids being kids, like she just didn't give a shit.
Right, right, right.
She knew the kind of establishment she was running, and she was like, whatever. The exact spot where this girl was raped and butchered was discovered by Mrs. Loss's little children. So,
Okay.
unfortunately, they were playing in the woods on September 25th, exactly 2 months after the murder. And while they were playing, they found a white petticoat, a silk scarf, a parasol, and a handkerchief marked with the initials MR on the ground. And it was all torn up. It was in like some bushes. It looked like it was a struggle.
Oh no.
So, leading out of this forest area, there was a track that might have been made by it, like if you were dragging a body,
Yeah.
and it was, thank you, that looks really good. Sorry, he made me food.
No.
So they thought that it looked like a body's kind of track, and it led in the direction of the river, but
Mhm.
it was kind of lost in the woods. Like after a little bit of following it, it just kind of
Yeah.
disappeared.
Because it had been 2 months.
Yeah, exactly. But all of the articles that, like all the, pages that had come out in the newspaper about her disappearance, it identified that those were her clothes. They
Right,
tried to
right.
find every effort of trying to find this man that she was with at that saloon, and they thought maybe it was the naval officer, but they couldn't find anybody that matched that description. It was also believed that Mary's mother knew more about her disappearance than she chose to talk
I
about.
was about to say, like, Mary clearly had some plans different than what she told her fiance, right? So, was there like an exchange of letters between Mary and some like unknown
Yeah, that's the thing, is like
individuals?
there was something going on.
Right. So, but they never found any like letters or
No,
any like
and
correspondence exchange.
nope, nothing. They never found
Huh.
anything, and unfortunately, Mary's fiance never recovered from thinking and seeing what happened to his
Fiance.
fiance.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, he kind of spiraled into mental decline, and within a few weeks after she was murdered, he committed suicide,
Oh,
and
jeez.
his
Poor
body
guy.
was found at the place where they found all of the, like, her petticoats and stuff.
Oh.
I
Well,
don't
that's
know.
kind of, is that like just a coincidence or is that kind of suspicious? Because,
I think it's a little bit suspicious because obviously something was going on. Yeah, after a lot of investigation, they were never able to figure out who had murdered her. And again, this is, in the 1840s, there's not a lot of things that you can do. So they just let it
right.
go.
So they never found who killed her,
They never did. And
even
she
to
was
this day.
always, even to this day, she has never
Oh,
been,
man.
they never figured out who killed her. They never figured out who the tall, dark complexioned man was. They never got more answers out of the fiance, the mom. Yeah, she was always just known as the cigar girl that died. They tried, but they
Oh.
couldn't. And it's actually weird because Edgar Allan Poe was super interested in her case. So
Hmm.
he wrote a book about her.
Oh, really?
It's called The Mystery of Marie Roget.
Oh.
It's about her.
Oh, interesting.
Apparently he was super, super into this case.
Somehow I'm not surprised.
It was about, like, the book is about his detective character trying to like solve the murder of
Hmm.
parallel version of Marie Roget, is a Paris native who works as a perfume shop employee and is found in
Oh.
the river. So
Oh.
it's very close to, it's very interesting why, I
Hmm.
don't know why he was so interested, but,
I mean, it was Edgar Allan Poe. He's fucking a
and
weirdo.
especially, like, I can't say anything because we also obviously have fascinations with true crime and paranormal and stuff, so I can't say
Yeah.
anything. If I was Edgar
Yeah,
Allan
right.
Poe, I'd probably write a book too.
Yeah, honestly, I was gonna say.
But unfortunately, yeah, that is the case of the cigar girl that never got a chance.
Well, that's disappointing that there was no
Follow up.
resolution. Yeah.
Another mystery.
Hmm. How disappointing.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. It was still an interesting story, so unfortunately we're probably never gonna know what happened there.
It's too long ago.
Although I'm assuming, just based on the story that you told me, I'm
Either she
assuming
got
that.
into it, something that she shouldn't have,
Mhm.
or her fiance and mom had something to do with it.
Yeah. I wonder if she was not interested in her fiance, like whoever she was with in New or like supposedly with in New York City was somebody who she was genuinely
Yeah, maybe
interested
she
in,
just didn't
and
like
her,
Mr. Payne.
yeah, and then her mom and her fiance like found out about him or something to that effect, and then staged this whole murder of her because
That'd be so
like,
upsetting.
and especially the thing that makes me think that it was like a murder for hire kind of situation is the guy on the dock who was like, did this girl go with 6 guys? And people are like, yeah, she was fine.
Yeah, like, obviously something is wrong. That is not a normal thing to do,
Right, right.
especially at that point.
Yes.
Something was up. That's the story.
Yeah.
have for me today?
There's not a ton of news today. I even like checked this morning, miss any big news, but I don't think that I did. So we're just gonna go ahead and hop right in. So the first thing I have is some Nintendo eShop games that are on sale right now. Going in order of like when they stopped going on sale from like least. I'm going in order from like I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I'm going in some kind of order. Okay.
It's a specific order that I am unsure
Yeah.
of.
Right. So the first one is The Tourist, Tourist. It was $19.99. It is now $13.99, and it's available until August 5th on sale in the US and UK. Most of these, unless I say otherwise, are US and UK eShops.
Okay, cool.
The next one is Not Tonight, Take Back Control. Was $24.99, is now $2.49. It's available.
Holy shit.
I know, it was a whole 90% off. Available until August 4th. The original Crypt of the Necrodancer, it was $19.99. It is now $3.99, and that sale ends on August 3rd.
Okay.
Mark of the Ninja remastered, and another game called Don't Starve. They were both.
I love Don't Starve.
They're both $19.99, and they are now both $4.99, and they are both available in the US eShop only until August 2nd.
Have you played Don't Starve?
I have not.
It's basically based on Edgar Allan Poe, which is funny.
Really? Oh man.
The character looked like Edgar Allan Poe. Basically, the whole game is the longer you're in darkness, the more you go into like psychosis, so you start hallucinating and stuff.
Oh, interesting.
Here, I'll send you what the game. This is how that actual game looks like too.
Oh, okay.
Here you go. Wow, that's a long link. Sorry.
That's okay.
I used to play it all the time.
Oh, I really like the art style, though.
Yeah, the art style is cool.
Cool.
There's Don't Starve and there's Don't Starve Together.
Interesting.
It's very fun.
Cool.
Creepy as fuck, but highly recommended. It's cheap as fuck then.
Yeah, it's only $5. So the next one is one that I bought basically the day that I told you about this in my notes. It's Spyro Reignited Trilogy. It was $40. It's now only $20, and it's available until August 1st, so I did already buy it.
How is it? Have you played it yet?
I haven't, because my Switch doesn't have like the space to download it, so I had to buy an SD
and just hold
card.
it.
Yeah, so I have an SD card. Should be here. I'm gonna check the front door when we're done here.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah,
there it goes.
So that sale ends on August 1st. The Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection, it was $39.99, is now $14.79, which is a very specific number.
Yeah, right?
And that sale ends on July 31st, so that is that's this coming Friday as we're recording this, but that is today as you're listening. So if you're interested, you got to get that. So the next little bit is some games that are coming to Switch in August, which as this releases, August will be tomorrow. Scully, which is a 3D adventure platform, releases on August 4th. And these are all physical releases. And then I think any of them that have eShop releases, I will denote.
Okay.
If I remember how I did my notes correctly. August 4th, Scully, which is a 3D adventure platform. That's when that releases. On August 6th, we have Clan N releasing physically and in the eShop, and that's a multiplayer fighting action game. We have Airy Broken Memories. It's a simulation, adventure, and puzzle game. Instant Sports Summer Games is obviously a sports games.
You don't say.
It compiles many sports into one game, so it's kind of like it's got like a Wii Sports resort vibe.
Dude, I want it.
It's got tennis, relay races, pole vaulting, archery, a whole bunch of stuff like
What's
that.
it called again?
Instant Sports Summer Games.
Okay, I'm gonna write it down.
And that releases on August 6th. On August 12th, there's a strategy RPG called Banner of the Maid coming out. It looks kind of anime inspired. August 13th is Boomerang Fu. I've never heard of it, but apparently it's an action arcade fighting party game.
Never heard of it either.
But the trailer looked fun. So Collar and Malice Unlimited is a visual novel, and that's also on August 12th. On August 18th is probably the creepiest game on this list. It's called My Universe, My Baby. It's a baby simulation game.
No.
I'm gonna send you the YouTube link.
I'm so worried.
You have to watch as much
I'm
as you
so
can.
scared.
It's like, oh, it didn't create the link.
What the
Just
fuck?
copy and yeah, I don't know
Yeah,
what
that's fine.
happened. Copy and
I'll
paste
watch
it.
it after. That's terrifying.
It's not even that creepy, but for some reason, just like simulated babies is creepy.
I don't. Oh god, that was loud. I don't mind babies, but yeah, simulated babies are different. I just think of like PT and like
Yeah, yeah.
babies in video games are not usually cute. They're terrifying.
Yeah, and that's kind of how this one is. On August 21st, the next game to release is PGA Tour 2021.
Good old golf game.
The YouTube video that I saw this in was like, I'm surprised they're still making these. And honestly, not only did I not know that they were still that they made PGA games to begin with, but I am also surprised that they're still making
They've been
them.
making them for fucking ever. My brother and I used to play them all the time, and I don't know why they're not that fun.
So on August 25th, a game called No Straight Roads releases. It's an action adventure music based game. And
Oh.
then Giraffe and Anika is an anime adventure game. On August 27th, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remastered finally comes out. I think it's been pushed back a couple of times, so people are really hyped about this one. On August 28th, an adventure survival game called Windbound releases, and when I looked at the trailer, it gives off some serious like Breath of the Wild vibes.
I say I think I've heard of that before, and it looked
Yeah,
very whimsical.
yeah, so I think I'm gonna get it. I think I really truly am.
Why not,
Because,
right?
yeah, there's not like an eShop release yet, but that's the physical release, so I might just have to wait till the eShop release because I ain't going places.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not going in person. Sorry, not happening. I don't care. I don't care what game it is. I waited for Animal Crossing. You know.
Yeah, exactly. All of these are releasing on August 28th. So Windbound Jump Force is a fighting game and it has an online and offline multiplayer mode. Road to Guangdong is an adventure game. Captain Tsubasa Rise of New Champions is an anime sports game for soccer. Immortal Realms Vampire Wars is a turn based strategy dark fantasy game. And Street Power Soccer, despite the name, is actually categorized as an arcade game and not a sports game. So that's all on August 28th. So the last thing that I have to talk about, I didn't actually watch the Xbox stream. So this information I got from Polygon and The Verge. Microsoft had its Xbox showcase on Thursday the 23rd, so that was like 2 days ago for us. Almost a week, or a little over a week ago as you're listening to this.
Mm-hmm.
They had announced some big name titles and some new titles. So in order from like furthest release to most recent release, or not most recent, but like the closest released, Psychonauts 2 is coming in 2021. Sable is coming sometime in 2021 from indie developer Shadeworks. Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis coming in 2021. Balin World is coming in spring 2021 and will be available for both Xbox One and Xbox Series X. Crossfire X will be available sometime later this year. I could not find a release date, but as far as I can tell, it's just 2020. Halo Infinite launches this holiday season alongside the Xbox Series X. Tetris Effect Connected launches alongside the Xbox Series X during holiday season this year. Dragon Quest Echoes of Elusive Age originally was released on the Switch in 2019 and will be available on December 4th for Xbox One and the Series X. So Destiny 2 will be available in the Xbox Game Pass in September, and then in November the Beyond Light expansion will be available on the Game Pass. Tell Me Why, it's from the same studio as Life is Strange, releases on August 27th, and an expansion for the Outer Worlds called Peril of Gorgon Expanses? Let me try that. Releases on September 9th. The games that were announced that don't currently have a release date are Everwild, Avowed, Fable, Forza Motorsport, Stalker 2, The Gunk, and The Medium. And out of that list, I think I'd be most interested in The Medium and Avowed.
I don't know what I would be looking at. I like Tetris a lot. Like, I used to play Tetris competitively, and I'm like,
yeah,
spark my interest in Tetris again.
I don't have an Xbox, and I don't super plan on getting an Xbox. No offense to like people who are Xbox like superior or Xbox whatever
elite,
yeah, elitists is the word I was looking for. No offense to people who are Xbox elitists, but I don't know. I have a
All the
PS4.
offense, I have a PS tattoo.
I don't know. I just don't have an Xbox, and there's not really any games that are Xbox exclusives with the exception of Fable
That you want.
that I would want to play, but Fable has had PC emulators before, so I will probably look for that. The last bit of news I have, well, there's two of them actually.
Oh, okay.
Back in March, Microsoft had announced their new subscription service called Xbox Game Pass, which was essentially like a Netflix subscription. I don't know if you remember that. You can pay $99 or 99. That's a lot. $9.99 a month, and you can get unlimited access to the massive catalog of digital games. And in the month of April, the service reached 10 million subscribers, and that's a big deal because, as the Xbox VP Phil Spencer emphasized, every game that I just talked about, like all of the games that I just listed, will be available through the Game Pass subscription on the day that it launches.
Okay.
And that's important because now players who, like, let's say the Medium, for example, like, maybe you wouldn't play that, you wouldn't go out and spend $50 for that game, but if you've got the pass and it's already there in the pass catalog for $9 a month, if you start playing it, you're like, this isn't really my thing. There's no loss. So that's a big thing.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. So Microsoft has created a very interesting business model, and I would be shocked if like Sony and Nintendo didn't, in the years to come, follow that business model. So now, the last bit of news I have is from Riot Games. They recently released an absolutely beautiful character reveal for their newest addition to the character roster in League of Legends. I don't know if you've seen it.
I have not.
Let me see if I can find it real quick. It's a very like Hanzo and Genji feel. As
Okay.
far as it is, it's the character's name is Yone, Yone. He's a demotic samurai, and he's the brother of an already established character who, he's a really popular character. His name is Yasuo. According to League of Legends lore, Yasuo is, like I said, a little bit like Hanzo. He's a tortured soul because he was forced to kill his brother, and Yon is the aforementioned brother. So the short is like only 10 minutes long, but like when I watched it, I don't really play League of Legends much anymore because, boy, you want to talk about toxic gaming community. But I do still like to follow the lore.
Yeah.
Of League of Legends because
honestly,
I think it's fun and fascinating.
I think it's fascinating too.
I watched the reveal trailer for Yon, and holy cannoli. By the time it was done, I was like, wait, I'm not actually watching an anime? It was so good. The character reveal came as part of an in-game event called Spirit Blossoms. According to Mike Berry, who's the associate art director for League, Yon's reveal was inspired by several in-game elements and the community requests for more like character content.
Mm-hmm.
So, quote, "It seemed like an awesome time to dive into Yasuo's story because he's one of our most popular or infamous, depending on how you play him, champions. The timing felt right. We started there and then added the goal of launching Yon. There's no way to tell Yasuo's story and not tell Yon's and vice versa." So, yeah, so it's very Hanzo Genji vibes, but it was still like a super fun cinematic, and I am a big fan of it.
That's awesome.
So that's all I have for gaming news. If you want to watch those two videos.
I watched I watched the baby thing.
Oh, you did already?
I hate it. I don't like it. It makes me uncomfortable. This video, it's 10 minutes long.
Yeah. So if you want to watch it later.
I will, I'll watch it later, but my friend loves League of Legends and talks to me about it all the time, and I'm surprised I haven't heard of it yet.
Yeah.
But I will watch it later. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. I used to play League of Legends like back in its beta and a little bit after that, but being a female gamer, and League of Legends is by far the most toxic gaming community I have ever. Like, Overwatch can be, but it's also a little bit not. Like, there are people who have like in comms have.
I've heard League is pretty bad too.
League is literally the worst. Like, I got to a point where I hated playing that game. I hate I won't play it ever again because I can't the community in League of Legends, no offense to anybody who plays it, it's just so
It's
heavy
aggressive.
and
They're
toxic.
like, how dare you be bad at something? And you're like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't know. Like,
Yeah, no, it's not, it is not fun. I don't have fun playing League of Legends anymore, but I do have fun getting on the lore of League of Legends. No offense to anybody who plays. Sorry, your community sucks, my guy.
Overwatch also has an aggressive community sometimes. It just depends.
It's not as bad. It's really not as
PC,
bad.
it's worse, I will say.
Okay, that's
PC is
fair.
worse now
That's
that I've
fair.
been playing PC. Overall, it's okay. Yeah, that's all I had for you today. I don't have anything else. As always, follow us where, well, listen to us and follow us wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Yeah, yeah. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, maybe. And you can follow Janelle on Janelle's Twitch at Janelle Nelly.
And you
Yeah.
can follow Angel at Ariam Aquila. Aquila.
Aquila. Yeah.
It is AUREUMAQUILA.
Yeah. And yeah, don't forget to give us a subscribe, give us a rating and a comment so that we can get this show on the road.
If you ever have suggestions, please email us at coolgaminggals@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Even if it's
Please.
also like stories
Reach
that
out.
you have or
Yeah.
questions or suggestions,
Or if
anything.
you see like a piece of news of like gaming news and you're
Send
like,
it.
I want to make sure they talk about this. Like, yeah, absolutely send it. We'll talk about it.
Because we don't see every little thing, so.
Yeah, I mean, I try, but at the same time,
There's so much.
I'm only human.
There's so much and so little. It's a
Mhm.
weird time right now.
Mhm.
But
So,
definitely.
yeah, reach out, help us get this podcast show on the road.
But have a fantastic weekend, everyone, by the time you hear this, and we'll talk to you in the next one.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.